All right, so let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a really fundamental debate in AI. The big question is, are we on the right track trying to build this perfect silicon-based mind? Or is that whole dream kind of flawed from the start? Because there's this powerful argument that says real intelligence can only come from a physical, messy, carbon-based body, just like ours. And this quote from Elon Musk, this is it, right? This is the dream we're sold. A digital mind, living in the cloud, that remembers everything, gets us completely, and becomes the perfect friend. It's a really seductive idea. But what if that whole vision is just wrong? Not just from a philosophical, what does it mean to be human perspective, but from a nuts and bolts technical one too. We're going to look at two big critiques, one from a humanist and one from a pioneering roboticist, and you'll see how they both point to the very same problem with this dream. So first up, let's get into the humanistic argument from Paula Oleska. Her whole point is that the kind of intelligence we're building with silicon just can't, on a fundamental level, replicate the deep connections that are unique to carbon-based life. This slide really gets to the heart of the problem. You could call it a biological hardware gap. See, human connection is based on something called limbic resonance. It's this deep, emotional, and even physiological sync-up between our brains. An AI, on the other hand, just runs on data recall. It can mimic conversation, sure, but it can't feel with you because it doesn't have a limbic system. There's just no hardware for real connection. And Oleska really drives this point home, pulling from cognitive science. This idea of embodied cognition is key. It means our intelligence isn't just locked away in our skulls. Our brain is actually a network that runs through our entire body. Think about it. So much of our communication, like 85% of it, is our tone of voice, our posture, our expressions. And emotions aren't some bug in the system. They're a feature. They are absolutely essential to how we think. At the end of the day, consciousness has to be lived. You can't just download it. So this brings her whole argument to a really powerful and maybe kind of uncomfortable question. Are we so focused on chasing this silicon imitation of a friend that we're forgetting about the real thing? You know, the actual flesh and blood people around us who can genuinely connect. Okay, now let's pivot. We're gonna switch from the philosopher to the builder, because this next critique comes from right inside the world of AI. It's from robotics pioneer Rodney Brooks, who ran into the very same limitations, not by thinking about friendship, but by actually trying and failing to build smart machines that could work in the real world. So, for decades, the main approach to AI was basically to build a brain in a vat. The core idea was that for a machine to be smart, it first had to create a perfect, detailed map of reality inside its own digital mind. It would think about the map, reason about it, and only then, maybe, decide what to do. And this led to a framework that Brooks calls SMPA, for Sense, Model, Plan, Act. You can see how linear it is. The robot senses the world, then it spends a ton of time and energy building that internal model, then it plans its next move, and only after all that it finally acts. You can already hear how slow and clunky that must be, right? And yup, here's the problem. As Brooks says, even in super simple lab settings with the best computers they had, these robots were just painfully slow. And why? Because building and constantly updating that perfect little world map in its head was this massive computational bottleneck. They just couldn't keep up. And this is when Brooks had his big aha moment. He realized the problem wasn't that the computers weren't fast enough. The problem was the entire philosophy. It was the core assumption they started with. This was the mistake. This was the intellectual brick wall they kept hitting. The belief that to act intelligently in the world, a machine first had to perfectly copy that world inside itself. It turned out to be a total dead end. So, if building a perfect internal map is a bust, what's the alternative? How do you get a machine to act smart without getting bogged down in endless thinking and modeling? Well, Brooks's solution was just so radical and elegant. He basically said, forget building a model, just use the world itself. A robot can constantly check the real world with its sensors. Why bother creating a map of an obstacle in your head when you can just look and see that it's still there? The real world is always perfectly up to date. And this new approach is built on these two key ideas you see here. First, embodiment. The AI needs a physical body with sensors to interact with things. And second, situatedness. It has to actually exist and act in the environment. So in this view, intelligence isn't some abstract reasoning process. It's what happens, it's what emerges when an embodied creature is situated in the real world. This quote from Herbert Simon just illustrates the idea perfectly. Think about an ant walking on a sandy beach. Its path looks incredibly complex, weaving around pebbles and dunes. We might think, wow, that ant must have a really sophisticated map in its tiny brain. But Simon's point was, maybe the ant is just following a few simple rules, like if something's in front of you, turn left. The complexity isn't in the ant, it's in the world the ant is reacting to. So this table really lays out the whole shift in thinking. Just look at that world model row. Traditional AI needed this huge, central, complete model. Brooks's behavior-based AI, it just uses the world. That is the game changer. So instead of building these big, functional modules like a master planner, he built little modules based on behavior, like avoid obstacles or find the light. You're basically swapping a slow, central brain that thinks for a whole network of fast reflexes that just do. And this is where it all clicks into place. What's so amazing is that these two completely different critiques, one coming from humanism and friendship, the other from engineering and robots, they somehow arrive at the exact same conclusion. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we're talking about a human feeling empathy or a robot trying to get across the room. The lesson is identical. Real, effective intelligence can't be separated from a physical, embodied experience in the world. The body matters. So look, this isn't just some abstract academic debate. It totally reframes how we should think about the future of AI. It pushes back against that classic sci-fi brain-in-a-box fantasy and points toward a much more grounded and frankly more achievable path. And maybe most importantly, it kind of recenters the value of our own intelligence, our messy, embodied, carbon-based experience. The whole question shifts from how do we build a mind to how do we build a creature? And that really leaves us with the big question to chew on. As we keep pushing forward and designing the next generation of AI, what should our goal even be? Should we be chasing that disembodied silicon mind from the movies? Or should we be trying to build embodied creatures, inspired by the messy, real, and incredibly successful intelligence that we see all around us and inside ourselves?